Hey folks, Phil Gallagher, aka ThrabenU here for my first cube draft of the year. It's time to deviate from just the legacy content and do something a little bit fun. Today's video is sponsored by Moxfield.com, as well as an anonymous donor who wanted to see a cube video happen. All I ask is before this video begins, please throw me a like. I kind of need to restart my place in the algorithm after kind of having lower views than normal due to the expected kind of holiday break. Alright, enjoy the show. Alright, here we go. We have kind of a medium pack, in my opinion, here. We've got some signets, which are always good. We have some very generically powerful cards. We have a absolute fan favorite Yokel Hops, which is probably not a good idea. And then we have this asshole, who has been my absolute ruin in multiple limited formats. And then, you can always go in a safe direction of taking the mono red or mono white card. Those are usually open. I'm not really sure what I want to take here. I think I'm just going to take Mana Drain. It's generally a good... Oh. Mana Drain Mind Twist? Mana Drain Karn? Mana Drain Ancestral Stay on Blue? Those are the three cards that I'm thinking about here. The mono black player in me really wants to take this Mind Twist. I don't really know that it's the best card in the pack. It's probably, in fact, not. Like, Magic cards keep getting better and better and better, but man, Mind Twist is sick value when you have Artifact Acceleration, which is something I want, or with Mana Drain. I'm gonna take the Mind Twist. I just love that card. That is my defense for that pick. Some reasonable stuff here. I can take another big fatty that I can Mana Drain into, but Grizzlebrand specifically requires 4 black pips, which is a little rough. Sword of Fire and Ice is an all-star. Glenalandra Archmage is never a bad pick if I want to be going the control direction. I think I am leaning towards Glenalandra. Like, Signet is fine. I would hope to wheel something like this rather than take it this early in the draft, and I don't 100% know that 4 black for Grizzlebrand is reasonable. I could just take this and try to go into blue-black Reanimator. That might be better than just going Glenalandra. Upheaval, Lurrus. We're probably not going a Lurrus direction right now. It's sweet that Titania is in the cube. Been pretty impressed by that card. Freakmaw is standing out to me here. Expressive Iteration is very good, but I think I'm gonna try to go this blue-black route. I think I'm just gonna take the removal spell here. Sort of Body and Mind, if I was going in a slightly different direction, would be very strong. Like, this is absolute gas in limited, but like, it just doesn't go with the cards that I have picked so far. This is a way of getting stuff into the graveyard. Enough Out is reasonable. This card is interesting. Would be better, I guess, if I had taken the Ancestral Visions in pack 1. Forest Plains Island. Let's take the Crypt Breaker. Let's try to keep this Reanimator dream alive. Sower is strong. Wishclaw Talisman is not crazy. There's some good control-ish cards here. I think I'm just going to take the generically good blue-black card here. Speaking of generically good blue-black cards, Ashiok is very reasonable in limited. Like, it's pretty easy to mill someone out with Ashiok if you can combine it with anything else that mills. Otherwise, it's just a good value creature. Not creature, planeswalker. Assuming I can get some reanimation stuff, I'm in sort of a unique situation where everything that's in my deck currently could go into my... Everything I've drafted so far could go into my deck. Except that. I don't really want that. What do you do? Turn target creature from your graveyard to the battlefield tapped and attacking. It gains when you don't control a legendary vampire. Exile this creature. That's not really the sort of reanimation stuff I want to be doing. That is a bit too expensive. That said, I don't really see myself taking anything else from this pack, so I'm going to pick it and just assume that I am not going to play it. I think I take Mana Fixing here over Gix. I have no fixing yet. I will not end up playing any of this stuff. I'm just going to take the black card to kind of send strong... Hey! Oh, there's also the sword? No respect for the sword. Or maybe swords are worse now than I remember cubing growing up. I'm going to just take the removal spell here. We're getting some pretty good black stuff late. I'm gonna take this, I guess. Let's move all that stuff to sideboard. I don't intend on using those. Not biggest fan of any of this stuff. 8 playables from pack 1 isn't bad at all. I guess I'll take the Oblivion Stone over the Cabal Ritual here. And you can go to my sideboard. I don't think I'm starting with that Oblivion Stone in my deck, but... Oh, oh baby. Yeah, we'll take a recall here. I guess we're probably not wheeling. We could wheel, like, Bazaar, Archon, or Signet from this pack, maybe. Probably not Signet. I just can't pass Ancestral. We passed the weaker Ancestral. We're not passing the good one. Some good stuff in this pack. Like, some very objectively powerful cards. I'm looking at the Triome. I wheeled a Hero's Downfall last time around, which might mean that I can get away with wheeling Ravenous Chupacabra, despite the fact that, like, that card is quite powerful. Like, it's just good value. I think I am going to respect my mana fixing here and take the Triome. I don't really make good use of the Grim Monolith Acceleration as of right now, outside of my Mind Twist, which it's very good with. Is that enough of a reason to just take the Monolith? I don't think so. Let's... Hello, Liliana. Yeah, I will be taking that. There's some other good stuff in the pack, like Consider is a way to get things into graveyard. Him is a way to disrupt my opponent. Ho 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 ho. Go on a Jace or a Damnation? Damnation doesn't work well with Sower. I have 1, 2, 3 removal spells for Jace as of right now. I love me a Damnation. I've got 2 Planeswalkers already. I think I'm just gonna go ahead and pick this up. There is a Reanimate, which is very nice. Enough picks in that I might be able to pick up more reanimation stuff later as well. Oh, buddy. I think... Man, there's Dig through. Actually, I can target me. Target opponent's library. I think I'm just going to take the generically powerful Wormcoil engine that I can mana drain into, rather than Dig. Trinket Mage. Man. Imperial Seal. That is probably good enough for me. Let's do that. This is, I guess, largely better than a basic land. Like, it is a way to maybe put that Grizzlebrand into the graveyard, but only got 1 reanimation spell as of right now. So that reanimate a lot of times is going to target my opponent's stuff. I think I will go ahead and pick up the land. Oh, yeah. Alright, Bazaar made it back. That's not going to count as a land drop for the purposes of deck building, but it's pretty solid. I don't feel like I'm a particularly great memory jar deck. That said, I'm not going to be going in on Kiki Jiki combo. There's some worlds where I end up a little light on playables, and I wouldn't mind having just a Pestermite as a card to fill out the deck. I don't see myself playing any of this stuff here. I'm going to take another reanimation target and throw that in my sideboard. I don't see myself playing any of these things. Take a Planeswalker for the sideboard that I never expect to play. I am probably not playing a Gush, but I could maybe be convinced. Let's pick up the Forge Master. I don't think it's going to be playable, given my very, very low artifact count as of right now. Like, I just don't know that, like, Forge Master for Wormcoil Engine is anywhere close to good enough. I'm very likely to wheel something quite strong from this pack. Like, we'd be happy with Misty, Knight's Whisper, Jace, Spencer, and I guess to a lesser extent Repeal, but like we'll take the best card in Commander. Ooh. This is a powerful pack. I think it's just the draw 2 here. There is the Splinter Twin. We're not going to have the mana fixing for that. Muldrifter Reanimate is a thing. Mana Drain into early Muldrifter is a thing. There's also Bloodchief's Thirst. I think I'm just going to take my value. Draw 2 cards. Okay, I'm not sure this is the best pack for us. There's a Dark Ritual that I don't really see myself playing. I'm not going to have anywhere near enough lands of different varieties for Field of the Dead. Not a Mind's Desire deck. What about Memory Deluge? This is kind of the more fair dig through time sort of card. I think that's probably better than Dark Ritual for me. I am not super great at Dark Ritualing into anything immediately. Like, I can Dark Ritual Lily, or like maybe Dark Ritual out one of these things, but that doesn't seem great. Let's go ahead and pick up some more card advantage. Gallowgrave Grizzlebrand's a thing. Somebody is going to get Dark Depths Thespian stage. It's not me. Bobble doesn't really have a lot of support in this deck. This is probably going to be Graveyard Trespasser. Like, having some ancillary graveyard hate in this deck is probably fine. An okay body. Don't think the mana acceleration is super exciting for me. I'm largely going to be playing fair. I don't think my Grizzlebrand Dream is going to come to life very often. Probably pick up a Murderous Rider from this pack. I could just take an off-color Signet as some form of ramp. Gives me some very explosive turn 1s with Sol Ring when I do draw this Signet as well. Let's just take the Murderous Rider. Pressure Cruise. I am not really using the graveyard for too much here. Grief is a reasonable value creature, but I don't think we say no to a draw 3. Alright, so this is kind of a big pick. Putrid Imp keeps the Grizzlebrand Reanimate Dream alive a little bit better, but Duress is just generically a much better card. I have 1 reanimation spell and a tutor for it. I currently have 1 way to discard. No, I also have Liliana. Alright, let's keep that dream alive. Oh! Oh. Wow, this pack is surprisingly good for me. Beldock is really strong with, like, Wormcoil, Grizzlebrand, Treasure Cruise, Muldrifter, Damnation as things I can hit and cheat on mana for. Sphinx is just Sphinx, though. Probably gives me another finisher that I'm a little bit lacking in. Alright. There's the Repeal back. They're not an opposition deck. Don't want this sword. I'm just going to take Dark Depths to destroy someone else's dream. I don't think I'll play Nurturing Peatland, but I'll think about it. I just picked up Dark Depths Thespian stage. I'm gonna have to think about my life here. None of this is really playable, and we'll stop someone from getting that Sulfuric Vortex on the wheel. All right, we got a few broken things in here. Let's see what we can do in deck building. All right, while normally I record my deck building process, I knew this one was going to be kind of a monster to build, so I fast forwarded a bit. This is what I'm thinking about running. I am thinking about being a hard blue-black control deck list that does run the Dark Depths and Thespian stage combo to make a 2020 that I wheeled in the last couple of picks. And I want to kind of explain my reasoning here. With only Reanimate as my reasonable way to get my like Grizzlebrand or Wormcoil or Sphinx out of the graveyard, I just don't know that I can rely on drawing Reanimate consistently enough to want to put these 3 cards into my deck list as enablers. Like, the Bazaar is really strong, and I think with literally 1 more reanimation card, I think it gets pushed over the top into being very strong. But I think with a single reanimate, even given the amount of card draw that I have, I don't know that I want to put 3 cards into the deck list that also require me to have one of these 3 cards at the right time, and then these also don't get removed so that I have the chance to activate them properly. I think I am just going to accept that maybe once throughout this cube, I will do something cute like Lily plus discard one of these, reanimate it. And I think I am going to view this as a card primarily that I use to just like kill one of my opponent's creatures, reanimate it, or, mind twist one of their creatures, reanimate it. The Grizzlebrand is like not particularly good in this deck, but the cards that would replace it are also kind of whatever. So I think I'm just going to accept that. From there, I'm playing a few more lands than I normally would because I want to just always, always, always hit my land drop because I have these expensive card draw and like expensive finishers. Like I just want to make sure things are smooth. And I'm also playing one land that really isn't a land. I don't have something like an Urborg to kind of help smooth things out here. So while I'm normally like closer to like 16 or 17 lands, sometimes even lower in these vintage cubes with only a single piece of acceleration here, I think I am just going to opt to play effectively 18 lands and then one spell that happens to be attached to a land. I'm going to err on the side of not starting with Nurturing Peatland in my deck. I'm not sure whether or not that's a mistake, but I think my life points are going to be precious if I'm trying to reanimate something this big in some portion of my games, or if I want to shrink maw something and then reanimate that. So we'll see how this plays out. My mana isn't quite as good as I would want it to be. A lot of times when you're building your mana bases, you want to be like leaning much more heavily one way. But if you kind of look, a huge portion of my cards have 2 or more colored pips. So I don't know how smooth our mana is going to feel, even playing a little bit extra mana than normal. But we'll see how it goes. Today's video is sponsored by Moxfield.com. This is the place where I keep all of my deck lists, and I really love the fact that I can sort these just so efficiently into folders because I make a lot of deck lists, folks, and knowing like where these decks are is very valuable for me, as well as my viewers who are trying to hunt down, my EDH decks, legacy decks, or whatever. I love this place as a deck hosting website, and please consider checking them out. All right. I mean, I'm starting game 1. My opponent's on a mulligan. I have a turn 1 Ancestral. Is it correct to actually cast it on turn 1? With 6 cards in hand, 7 for turn 10 after Ancestral. It's probably not correct to Ancestral. I only have 1 piece of artifact mana. Let's slow my roll on that. Take an island out of my deck. I know that I want one. Yeah, I'll play a Bryome and pass here. Yeah, it feels like this Ancestral might end up happening closer to turn 3. Depends a lot on what my opponent is doing. Like, once I can get, like, 1 more card out of my hand, I'm much more comfortable casting this. Imperial Seal, Ancestral Recall, play Soul Ring, go into Consecrated Sphinx in the not-too-distant future. Let's do it. Alright, Soul Ring goes on top. I could not cast this Ancestral right now and just wait and do it on my opponent's turn. We've got 2 open mana. Play this one patiently. I would love for this card to actually resolve. Maybe I should just jam. I haven't played enough of this cube to... Oh. Yeah, absolutely. Sure. I can destroy target creature or planeswalker. You can have a creature. End of turn, I'll draw 3 here. Ooh, it's a mana drain as well. Cool, cool. Am I willing to let my opponent have another wolf in order to obliterate their 4 cards right now? I think I am. So let's go land, Soul Ring. 1, 2. X is currently 3. X is currently 4. Get 'em. Hey, we played around Mana Leak. Nice. My opponent can get another wolf. I'll take 2. I'll Hero's Downfall this, take a little bit of damage from the wolves, and then stabilize the game with Consecrated Sphinx and Shriek Maw. Alright, seems like we've got a real plan for this game. Yeah, this will help gum up the board as well. So, how much mana am I using on my own turn? Got 7 total. Means that I really have 4 left over. So let's double check that it is blue. Yeah. I guess I don't need to do any of this right now unless I want to play Graveyard Trespasser. I think I'd rather just hold up mana drain my opponent's turn. Use my life total as a resource. I will absolutely take this out in my opponent's upkeep, though. I'm not going to give them another chance to like draw a counterspell or whatever. Would be a cool turn to mana drain something big and dumb. 4 damage from wolves is totally fine. Alright, my opponent's got an instant of some kind or another land. Woohoo. I don't think I want to drop this mana drain. I don't think I'm gonna just slam Sphinx here. I can just play a Shrink Maw, kill a wolf, block a wolf, or alternatively play Graveyard Trespasser. Let's just play the Graveyard Trespasser. It's got Ward of Discard a card, so it's kind of a pain in the butt to remove right now. This is if it's a creature, each opponent loses 1 life and you gain 1 life. There aren't any creatures in graveyard. I don't want you getting that back if you can get that back somehow. And then now we just kind of wait. Mana drain the next relevant thing that my opponent does, and then I can go real big here. Yeah. That's good enough to say no to. My opponent did not say no back. Alright. Phantasmal Image is reasonable. But I'm gonna have the better thing on the board at the end of the day here. Alright. So I get 4 mana. Means I have 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12 total mana for this turn. Seems good. Let's start on the Sphinx. That uses all of my colorless mana. And I'm fine casting this. I technically care about your Graveyard Trespasser more than your wolves. I don't think I care enough to like discard Grizzlebrand. So let's just take out one of those. I'd be fine trading a 3/3 for a 3/3 here. Feel pretty confidently like I am in the driver's seat at this point. Alright, we're gonna trade these. This is fine. I'm 1 black source away from a Grizzlebrand, and I am going to bury my opponent in cards. This used to be pretty popular in Standard back in the day, and at this point it's... Oh my god. Opponent concede, please, before I have to show you more of my sweet cards. Thank you, I appreciate that. Oh man, what a hand. What a hand. I don't know that I'm really going to be sideboarding in a lot of rounds. Like, I have some cards that are, like, technically options, but a lot of the options that are here are, like, being able to sub in a land or being able to go deeper on the reanimation package. Like, Oblivion Stone is going to be one of the big things that I am going to be thinking about in terms of sideboarding. But I don't really know that I'm going to make any changes in most rounds. And it's not, like, overly impressive, but I get to repeal any, like, early mana rock that my opponent plays out, and then hopefully I draw another black source for Lily. And Lily kind of bridges me to the late game. Be a little tough if my opponent... Wow, my opponent's going to 5. It would be a little tough if my opponent, like, opens up on a Soul Ring on turn 1, for example, and they get something big down before I can repeal the Soul Ring. My opponent is going to 4? Okay. I mean, if you can overrun me, cool. But otherwise, I kind of expect that I will bury my opponent in card advantage. Another Planeswalker here is... This is very nice backup for me. Because, like, this is something that I can always play on turn 3, whereas Liliana was something that I could ambitiously play on turn 3. Alright, they're just going to make their land drop and pass the turn. I think I want to represent Mana Drain here, rather than remove a swamp from my deck. Although, honestly, I don't know that my opponent is in a position to play around much of anything. Alright, there is a Graveyard Trespasser. If my opponent has a counterspell, I want Graveyard Trespasser to eat that counterspell. If my opponent doesn't have a counterspell, I want to resolve an Ashiok. The Ashiok is so incredibly good if my opponent doesn't have a counterspell here. So I think I am going to just jam like on my opponent's mulligan to 4. There's a very good chance that they just don't have anything. That is a Spell Pierce. I accept. The Graveyard Trespasser would have dodged that, but like they could have other things here. Deckbuilding. That makes my Wormcoil Engine worse. Oh, Eric and Taiga went to graveyard there. So I probably need to go ahead and put a creature on board. Pull a swamp out of my deck. Play Graveyard Trespasser, and then I can potentially repeal a blocker to start getting in on that Deckbuilding. Alright, goodbye, Planeswalker. I would like to continue to hit my land drops and work towards, like, these heavy hitters. I also can Liliana minus if my opponent plays a creature. Okay, there is a Soul Ring. It was one of the cards that I would... Oh, it is another Planeswalker. Okay, now things are starting to get scary. Oh, they do have to discard a card to make that happen. Chain Lightning, sure. Alright, I am overall happy with that exchange, and my opponent did not activate their deck. This is a Soul Ring for me. So I can get cute here. And when my opponent activates their deck, I can repeal it back to their hand. I don't really want to play out my Soul Ring into the deck. I do kind of want to make my land drop, and I can do that if I play Muldrifter. I think repealing the Planeswalker back to their hand is really good value. I can also repeal the Soul Ring. That seems less good. I'm just going to pass the turn here. Okay, they're not activating their deck, so I'm going to go ahead and just attempt to bounce that. I succeed, which probably means that they don't have a counter spell. I'm probably comfortable playing out my Soul Ring. It allows me to Consecrated Sphinx in this turn cycle. I can also play like Liliana and just straight up discard. I've got Mana Leak to think about. Get Imperial Seal into Muldrifter. That's kind of annoying. I think I'm just going to kind of accept this one-time boost and try to go big here. Alright, show me your Mana Leak. No Mana Leak? You have a removal spell. You just went through 2 removal spells, so I feel like the answer is no. Alright. I have my ability to hit my next land drop. I don't care if my opponent plays Dak and minuses taking my Soul Ring, because then I just get to kill the Dak and I'm pretty far ahead on board. Yeah, sure, that's fine. Alright, they're gonna gunk my Soul Ring, and I get to kill this Planeswalker. Nice. This is pretty good as well. Let's make a land drop. Kill Vraska. I feel like I've got enough cards here where I can pretty comfortably play Liliana out. I also can play Imperial Seal, then play Muldrifter, and then play Dark Depths. That also seems pretty good. Alright, Imperial Seal, Dark Depths, Muldrifter, and then I've got Dark Depths going next turn. And I'm kind of further ahead on board. I will take some more cards. Mind Twist just in case. Your Sylvan Library is fine. I don't think I need to draw that many cards, though. Deckbuilding's fine. It is a May ability, FYI. So I am fine just saying no to these. I don't want to accidentally mill myself out somehow when I have such absolutely powerful things in play here. Alright, 4 at Dak, 2 at you. Opponent goes to 17. I've got 3 mana to work with in this turn cycle. I can Mind Twist away my opponent's last card here, or I can hold up Hero's Downfall. I think it's fine either way. I can also just play Lily. Let's do that. I'll plus. Okay, yeah, that's good enough. Okay. We obliterated that opponent, but they did mulligan to 4, presumably for mana issue problems. Like their mana base was very ambitious. This is a weird one. I have 4 lands. I have both of my colors. I have Two very good mana sinks. I don't have any early interaction. I think this is still a keep, but I'm a little unsure. I think I play Island here in case I draw my mana drain. Because, like, Living the Dream is drawing mana draining literally anything, and then casting a Mind Twist. Hello? I think I wait to play Mind Twist until next turn. Like, I can get a Hymn to Torok right now, or I can get, I don't know, something much grosser than a Hymn to Torok the following turn. If my opponent plays, like, a Duress and I lose this Mind Twist for my greed. Ah, my greed. My greed. I just wanted my opponent to discard 4. Damn it. I mean, at least it wasn't escalated in, like, throwing a Grizzlebrand in the yard or whatever, right? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Can't Treasure Cruise yet. I'm going to make a real land drop, though, rather than start taking ice counters off of Dark Depths. There's another swamp for my opponent, who apparently has drafted a mono black deck. Good old Woe Strider, absolutely. Take your goat. Ape creatures are going to be good against what I'm doing. Ugh. I mean, next turn I can do a draw 3, but this is not quite how I wanted this game to start off. And, like, the Treasure Cruise isn't great if you have to, like, tap out for it as your turn. I'll eat 3 damage and then hopefully I can catch up. I got super punished for not, well, ooh. Ooh. That's some synergy. My opponent can sacrifice their goat here, and then later they can sacrifice the Woe Strider. Okay, there's another card I can play, and probably another card that I just should play. I think I need to take out this Braids, or attempt to. My opponent will get a Scry out of it. I guess means I do it in their draw step. I don't know how many, like, 2-mana sack a creature, draw 2 cards there are. Probably not that many. This is Vintage Cube. Let's set a stop in my opponent's draw step. In draw step, let's get rid of that Braids. And then I can play at least a somewhat discounted Treasure Cruise on my next turn. Yeah, absolutely. My opponent has 8 cards. I sure don't. Ooh, is my opponent missing land drops, though? That's okay for me in the short term. In the long term, that's a different story. Yep. Real good. They're not really at the mana to escape this, though, so they maybe don't want to immediately sacrifice this. They definitely could attempt to, like, hit their next land drop. Their Knight's Whisper didn't get them there. Yeah, they are going to do it. Doesn't mean they have to discard another card. That may be upside for them, like as we've seen with Reanimate here. Ugh. Alright. Let's cast a Treasure Cruise. Soul Ring mana is getting used for sure. I think I leave myself with a black and do it like this. Damnation's not bad, but holy crap, I am hitting all the land drops here. I think I've kind of got to hope that this Damnation can do some serious work. Otherwise, I've got to just draw Dark Depths, or sorry, Thespian Stage and make a 20/20. Black removal is not very good at dealing with indestructible creatures, and I haven't seen any edicts yet. Doesn't necessarily mean there aren't any in my opponent's deck, but we'll see. I love my opponent's deck. Oh my gosh, it's so good. I'm going to take 2 from Shouldered here. Go to 5. It just absolutely is Damnation O'Clock. As much as I would love to get more value out of that, I just cannot. Play Graveyard Trespasser. I'll start by taking out the Woe Strider so that my opponent can't get that back. And I think I'm actually going to play out the Dark Depths so that if I do draw Thespian Stage next turn in, you know, sort of a miraculous lucky top deck, I can execute my combo. This will put me down 1 mana for, like, Takenuma based lines, but I don't really know that Takenuma based lines are going to get me there. I could also just, like, slam a Grizzlebrand next turn. That would be cool. Alright. I mean, honestly, I guess I'm glad that my opponent is using the Edict here. That does give me a chance to actually do something with the Grizzlebrand. Or sorry, Merit Lodge. I guess or a Grizzlebrand. This is a really weird tutor draw card. So that would be 5 total mana and 2 life to do that. That would leave me with 4 mana. So it's about the best creature that I could get. I think I'm just going to go ahead and activate this. And I'll use that to just replay the Graveyard Trespasser. The Wormcoil Engine. There is a Wormcoil Engine. Can I take this turn off? I don't think I can take this turn off with Liliana here. Grab the Graveyard Trespasser. Go ahead and play that out. Gives me a little bit of life. I take out the Sheoldred. And I've got this Imperial Seal. Card is a little concerning. I think I've just got to accept that. Figure out what I'm going to Imperial Seal for. I can just get the Thespian stage, and if my opponent can't remove my Graveyard Trespasser, I think I just go for the Thespian stage. And I make it at my opponent's next end step to play around a Liliana Edict. We're all in. My opponent can't get some Jitte counters and go above 20 life. Merit Lodge is going to be hard to deal with. I guess I'm most likely to die to my opponent playing a large creature that can just dome me for 5. Alright, Swift End. Starting a Shriekmaw. Yeah, that's not going to do great things here. Another land drop. Play the Murderous Rider. That's fine. We can discard. There's a Toxic Deluge gone. I am not currently facing lethal damage, which means this should be good. I can play around a Sorcery Speed Edict. My opponent's Jitte can't keep them alive as of right now. They can gain 6, 2 from lifelink, 4 from Jitte life gain counters. So hopefully they don't have like a sudden Edict or equivalent. The sword would kill me. Some swords. Okay, that's fine. Alright, there's the attack in. I will not make my creature now, because then Liliana beats me. So they're going to pay 1 life and try to get another look at a card that will answer this Merit Lodge. You may absolutely Jitte equip. Alright. Is your last card a 2-mana Edict? Keep the one with no ice counters. There's a 20/20. Nice. Attack you. Oh boy. That was obviously very close. Against this opponent, I probably want my Oblivion Stone. Gosh has a 5-mana draw to is maybe not crazy. And a colorless 3/5 butt body isn't insane either. I don't think I want to board in Braids for the Braidsmere. What is my worst card in this matchup? Not Reanimate. I'll tell you that. That card is going to be good. Repeal is a little slow here. Cute against my opponent's Liliana, though. Sower of Temptation is a really good value creature, but my opponent's going to have a decent amount of removal. I'm not sure exactly what I want to board out. Okay, I figured it out. It's the Shriekmaw, folks. The Shriekmaw, non-black creature. Okay. Did I already board in? Yeah, there's the Oblivion Stone. Oblivion Stone is good, but it's going to be one of the ways that I can really catch up from a board that I'm behind on. This gets a... well... turn 2 Muldrifter? Oh, my greed. Oh, my greed. Sol Ring's really dumb. Like, this has so many looks at lands. Oh, this is one of the greediest keeps I've ever done. I'm so fucking cold to a duress on turn 1. Alright, cool. We drew another land. So I get to deploy the Sol Ring, get way ahead on mana. We can invoke a Muldrifter next turn if I don't have another line to take. You should say sorry about that. We'll give him a sorry smiley face right back. They don't know. They don't know how sketch this hand was 3 seconds ago. Oh, a library. And a smuggler's copter, absolutely. There's an Oblivion Stone. I'm not super interested in blowing up the world right now. I'm going to go ahead and evoke this Muldrifter, and then be sad when my opponent reanimates it for sick value. Alright, cool. Found a swamp. Next turn I will have 5 mana. Let's figure out what I want to draw. Mind Twist is pretty respectable. Obliterates the remainder of my opponent's hand. I think I'm just going to go ahead and do that. It doesn't outright win me the game, but I think that's better than some of the cute value-oriented things that I could do, like grab a Reanimate to reanimate my Muldrifter or something. I'm basically looking for things to get me out of the mid-game, because, like, with these 4 cards in hand, I'm so solid as this game goes along. Although the Grizzlebrand isn't particularly live right now. We're very far away from the black pips necessary to cast that card. Yeah, sure. That's probably Sphinx going. I could see O-Stone going too. Is crew 1? Is crew 1. Card's good. Okay, it is the Sphinx. That's kind of where I thought this was going to go, because if I O-Stone, I end up blowing up my own Soul Ring, which is very much something I am not currently willing to do. So I like that choice from my opponent. Hey, that's some value. Exile another creature card from the graveyard is the cost. I mean, that's good, because I'm probably putting a creature into your graveyard. But I think I just accept my 4 for 1. Yeah, Braids and Murderous Rider in graveyard now. It's looking increasingly like I am going to have to play and crack this O-Stone. I'll lose my Soul Ring in process. How much is the Fate counter? 4 mana? Inconvenient. Now my opponent's kind of in this weird spot where, like, they want to bring this back, but I'm going to be playing out an O-Stone. I don't know. With multiple creatures in graveyard and another that's about to go there, they can probably bring it back. Reanimate on Muldrifter? All that at the beginning of the game. That's a small mistake from my opponent. They could have used the Muldrifter to crew that and gotten 1 more damage in. See if that ends up being relevant. Una's Prowler. Down to 12. I'm not in great. Oh, no. Now I'm in actively bad shape. The Triome is very slow here. Do I need to cycle this? I don't think I can. I think I need the black source. Oof. Yeah, the Timely Thoughtseize there. Well, it's the combination of both the Mesmeric Fiend and the Thoughtseize kind of disrupted me at the places where I was hoping to kind of mess with my opponent. All right, my opponent crewed properly this turn. I'm going to take 6 damage. A Damnation would be really good, but the Scrap Heap Scrounger can come back at instant speed. So it's not like Damnation just instantly ends the game or anything. Alright, that is a miss. My opponent can sack the Scrounger, bring it back immediately, and then have very much lethal. They could miss that line, though. And I think I am playing towards them missing that line. Like, I will show them my Liliana to potentially live for 1 more turn. Alright, Scrounger's gone. Alright, Scrounger's back. I'll concede. Maybe I was wrong in attempting to, like, Mind Twist 4 for 1 my opponent. I was technically behind on board, but it seemed like one of the best things I could do to get myself out of the mid-game. Then losing both the O-Stone and the Consecrated Sphinx left me kind of with nothing. So maybe I should have just gotten a card draw. Like a card advantage source of some kind. I don't know, the Mind Twist felt good at the time. My opponent just disrupted me properly. Okay, this is a solid controlling hand. If my opponent can get on board before I do, it's not the best for me, but I really like double Planeswalker hands here. Again, playing Island out on turn 1 in case I do draw Mana Drain. Ooh. I think I'd be taking the Ashiok here. Okay, opponent agrees. They Take Numa. We'll just be passing the turn. My opponent can get some amount of value out of my Liliana act. This is just like last game where my opponent double disrupted me and then I was kind of left with nothing. And this is not the best thing to be playing towards. I'm going to thin a land from my deck in this turn cycle. This also works towards Delve for Treasure Cruise, which is like very much a real thing. Fuck. I go ahead and just take this opportunity to fetch. And I'll take my 1 from the Fiend. X triggers. And my opponent's deck is hot. Fuck, come on. Deck, like, I know I'm running, like, 1 more land than normal, but... I guess 2 if you count the Dark Depths, but this is a little rough here. My opponent's just gonna murder me. Damnation won't clear everything out because of Factory. Yeah, opponent's drafted a sweet deck. Man, these triggers trigger separately? Oh no. Oh god. Oh fuck. Oh. Oh. Yet. I guess I activate this. Okay. I'll return a Murderous Rider and use that to get rid of Braids. I believe I just want to sacrifice an island here. Okay. So I will let my opponent sacrifice something to Braids and then destroy it. I think I need to Imperial Seal for Damnation. That feels like my catch-up card here. Man, my opponent's deck is so good. Like, I haven't gotten a lot of my early interaction, like Mana Drain and whatnot, that I was really hoping for. Library is gone. Before anything else goes wrong, I am just taking this out. I wish I could really remove Gix, but I just cannot afford to lose another land. I've got things like Wormcoil Engine that I need to work towards. I take 4 here. This thing is a problem. As are the 9 cards in my opponent's hand. I'm going down, folks. Yeah, I had such a powerful opening hand with 2 Planeswalkers, but both were just dealt with. I don't think I'm catching up here. It's cool. My opponent just has a Planeswalker and a Factory left over after a Damnation. And I think my land drop is more important than protecting my Liliana of the Veil by having an extra card in hand. Yeah. And, like, this is not going to be a real blocker for the Factory because of my opponent's Lily minus. Yeah, I cannot imagine a world where I win anymore. Oh, okay. Okay. Enough. I will throw in the towel to that Sheoldred. It's not happening. GG's. Awesome deck opponent. Okay, final round here. I have a reasonable opening hand with 3 different cards that I can potentially play on turn 3. I will need another black source in order to do that. Grief. Pitching Murderous Rider. I potentially lose the Graveyard Trespasser here. Just as, like, the only thing that I can technically cast right now. I've lost my Murderous Rider. So we may be playing against an aggressive deck. That was a pretty high cost Grief. Yeah. Absolutely fine with playing Land Go after opponent 2-for-1s themselves to take out my Murderous Rider. Copter is fine. My opponent has missed a land drop. Okay with that. Let's take out your Grief. And hopefully I can just, like, Hero's Downfall. Probably the Smuggler's Copter. Ooh. Alright, they're gonna crew the Copter. I'll take 3 this turn. Kinda have to decide what I want to do with this Graveyard Trespasser and this removal spell. Woohoo! Alright. My opponent may have a reanimation package to their deck. With both Repeal and Hero's Downfall available here, I think I'm just going to attack, remove that from the graveyard, and pass the turn. Alright. Let's get in for our damage here. Right. Okay. That is an interaction. Does that just mean I hero's downfall immediately so that I can't get coptered? I think after accidentally growing that thing, I am fine with this line. Although that means I don't flip this. Something that I was intending on doing. I don't know that I played that turn out perfectly. Yeah, sure. 0 value Snapcaster so that you can just attack is totally fine with me. I will take the 3. Yeah, opponent is a Grixis deck, although it doesn't look like their mana base is really supporting that. No, that is not Grixis mana either. Alright, got 5 mana available. That allows me to leave up both Mana Drain and Reveal. If one of these things comes out of the graveyard, I guess I don't want it to be Baleful Strix. The Death Toucher is going to be a little annoying. Right. Drop opponent to 11. Now we'll make this thing bigger. I Mana Drain it. Whatever it is, literally whatever it is, I Mana Drain it at this point. Just lets me Consecrated Sphinx next turn. Then I'll let my opponent crew their Copter and then bounce that to their hand. Yep. Just take that tempo play there. Grabbing another land drop. Oh, yeah. Right, Sphinx is an easy play. Crash in with this. Yeah, seems good. We also just had Treasure Cruise that turn as well. So my opponent is a 3-color aggro deck, essentially, with presumably some amount of reanimation since I saw this. Oblivion Stone is probably worth thinking about. Probably about the only thing that I can consider here. I think I do play that. My opponent seems to have a decent number of ETB creatures. How do I feel about Repeal? Slow? A little slow. I'm gonna go ahead and get rid of the Repeal. Like, I don't mind it, but like once I start getting to 3 mana, I'd rather do most of this stuff than cast Repeal on like a 2-drop. My opponent definitely could come out of the gates faster this time, though. It's hard to throw back a Damnation hand versus my opponent's deck. My Mind Twist is probably not going to be impressive. Like, Mind Twist is probably just Hymn to Torok here for 3 mana. But, you know, I could draw Sol Ring. Alright, continuing the trend, we will play the island first in case I do draw Mana Drain. Opponent's got their land drop. And a JVP. I think I am fine just removing that. Like, as much as I love to get all the value and use every bit of the buffalo that I can, I think given how good my late game cards are, I just need to play out some stuff in the early game. I'm kind of on that logic here. I am fine with Mind Twist for X is 2. It does backfire some portion of the time. Alright. Breeding Pool and a Shock. Oh, I see. They just want a 2/2 in play. Sure. Alright, I have taken multiple lands out of their hand. I am in really good shape if I draw another Black Pip here. Or Sol Ring, like that's perfectly reasonable. I can go ahead and deploy that, and then I can Memory Deluge on my opponent's turn. Does this let me get anything? Yeah. I think I wait. I think I let them draw their card. It gives them another look at a counterspell. But I think not letting them know what's coming is valuable because they may play around a counterspell that I'm potentially representing. Alright, Memory Deluge. I think I'm going to take Graveyard Trespasser and Treasure Cruise here. 7 to flashback. That's absolutely doable. Play out stage now. Attempt a Graveyard Trespasser. Go ahead and eat my opponent's JVP. And the 7 to flashback. I'm not quite to Treasure Cruise. I think my plan is just copy a Swamp as of right now. Okay, sure. Oh, cool. This is very good for me. I'll copy a Swamp. That does get me to black, and transforms this. Go ahead and cast a Liliana. I'll take out that Snapcaster, and then I can attack and remove it, and get that little bit of extra value. Go goodbye, Snapcaster and Lightning Bolt. Opponent goes to 11. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. I can treasure cruise now if I get rid of Memory Deluge from Graveyard. It doesn't seem like that's a thing that I have to do, though. I'm gonna go ahead and end the turn there. Maybe that's me being greedy, but it felt like that one was over either way. Okay, final thoughts on the draft here. I was kind of hoping to go more of a reanimation route than we ended up going, and I spent a decent number of picks trying to go in that direction. I like maybe after not seeing any reanimation stuff for the most part in pack 1, I like shouldn't have gone that deep on those cards, but I was wheeling some good black stuff, so I thought it was fine to continue doing what I was doing. We ended up putting together a very respectable blue-black control deck. Our round 2 opponent's mono black deck was very streamlined and very strong. I don't feel bad losing to that deck, and I feel like this was a 2-3 or 3-0 deck list in terms of quality. I would have liked a little bit more interaction in the early turns of the game. Some like fatal push or other like maybe 1 or 2 mana removal spells, because the gap between my turn 1 and my turn 3 was pretty noticeable, and like Ancestral Recall isn't quite as good in the early game here as it is in some place like True Vintage, where you just have more Moxen that you're going to hit and more pitch cards like Force of Will that allow you to more quickly empty your hand to really take advantage of those things. I think if I had gotten out of Reanimator a little bit sooner, I could have picked up about 2 more playables. I kind of would have liked to have been able to remove Grizzlebrand from the deck list. Like, the Dream was still definitely there, but I was oftentimes reanimating stuff that I killed or that, like, my opponents had killed. Like, Reanimate on a Muldrifter was something one of my opponents did to me, right? And so, like, I think we did cast Grizzlebrand, or at least have the opportunity to cast Grizzlebrand once or twice in 3 rounds, which was pretty cool. Um, I'm very happy with this backdoor, like, Thespian Stage Dark Depths kill that I picked up. I wouldn't have played that if I didn't already have a tutor, but, like, once I have a tutor in the deck, the cost of boarding this in is, or, like, playing this is pretty low. So ultimately, I'm very happy with how this deck ended up going. We got to live the dream a few times. Would love to hear your thoughts about what you kind of thought about this. And in particular, if you want to see more Cube videos on the channel in the future, like really let me know. Leave me likes, leave me comments, because a lot of times when I shift away from legacy content, it doesn't do as well. But blow up this video, and I'd love to do more of these. All right, have a great rest of the day, folks. See ya.